Mental health issues are very much in the news at the moment, and statistics are showing that men, particularly young men, are the most affected here in the UK. My first guest is Jon Mansell, also known as Exboozehound and blogger. Jon, thank you so much for coming on Cuppa TV.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Wonderful to meet you.
Yeah.
And Jon, you've got a story to tell.
Yeah, well, I've been telling it for a while now on the blog, but
yes,
yeah,
which is a fairly new blog, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's quite new for you.
It started towards the end of 2013. I had a mental breakdown in around about June 2013 after suffering with depression and mental illness and other issues, alcoholism over a period of time, but finally had a mental breakdown in 2013 and wanted to do something positive about it. Really, it's just sort of. It's all about, it's hard to say, it makes me feel ill to say it, but, making a difference and taking away the stigma. I'm completely and utterly open with everything that I say on there.
I mean, and do you think there is a stigma, Jon, to mental health here in the UK?
Yeah, I think there is. To be fair, to be honest, I think because I've been upfront about it and even more upfront about it now, for example, I call myself a mentalist or a loon bag or a nutter, you're taking those words back. My main stigma really is my stigma against myself. The Neanderthal with depression who thinks you should be able to pull yourself together, and there is a stigma. It's seen as a weakness. I think more so in men, which is why I think why I started a group up recently, Exboozehound's group for men, just so we can talk about it and get it across and beat down that stigma. With everything I do. Hopefully it does help that.
So where did it all start for you, Jon? When did you start to have problems and you thought this is when a time I need help?
I think around about 16, 17. Went to the doctors, obviously feeling low, and started my antidepressants. That went on for a long time. At the time, I started drinking with the lads down the park at 14 and. It's sort of given me some confidence, and I think looking back now, I knew straight away I had a problem with booze as well, hence Exboozehound.
Which is your name, isn't it? Yeah, we'll come to that. Yes. Yeah. But after that, so you became an alcoholic.
I'm an alcoholic. Yeah, I was alcoholic. I think I knew I was alcoholic by the time I was about 19, 20. But we spoke to various people, counsellors and stuff like that. And I guess I wasn't willing to give up. And then towards the end of my 20s, I started getting some counselling again from a guy called Sean Little. And eventually he said, well, unless we do something about your alcohol, nothing's ever going to change. I went to Aquarius, lied through my teeth. And then eventually we looked into getting me into the Woodbourne Priory, which, because I was in Bupa from work, I was able to go into 28 days worth of treatment, which is quite expensive, and I got it, whatever it is, and I haven't drunk since.
And that was, what year was that, Jon?
2003.
So 2015. So you've done incredibly
12
well.
years, yeah.
And would you say that's been a hard journey, because for people who don't realise that the problems that go with alcoholism, it is an addiction.
It is an addiction, absolutely.
It's hard, like any drug you're addicted to. Yeah. And did you find that path has been smooth for you, or has it?
It's not smooth, not smooth. No, I mean I still miss alcohol now. I do spend time in pubs, and I'll fleet in and fleet out because when people start getting a bit tipsy, it starts getting a bit annoying. I still miss it. I love the stuff. That's why I was an alcoholic. I loved it, but I know that if I was to go back to it, it would destroy my life. There's a saying within AA, which I don't go to, unfortunately, that I've got another drink in me, but I haven't got another recovery in me. So realistically, if I was to start drinking again, I'd just do it to oblivion. So,
And was that when your mental health issues started as well, Jon? Did you find then, did you become depressed, or was it all?
It's all hand in hand, I think, really. If I look back, I thought I had dyslexia and things like that at school, with lack of concentration. But now I sort of look back and think, well, maybe it was the mental illness that lacked me the concentration, because that's what I was finding in my job towards the end, just before I had the mental breakdown. It was, doing reports and things like that. I just couldn't concentrate long enough to get the job done. And thinking back, I think that was the same as school, really. And I say quite often I was born I was born to be mentally ill, I was born to be an alcoholic, or as I like to say, I was born to be a mentalist, and now I say I'm an alcoholic that's retired. Because some people get upset when you say I'm an alcoholic. Well, you can't be if you haven't drunk for 12 years, but there's more to an alcoholic's issues than alcohol.
And do you think that you had enough support at the time when you were going through, you know, your depression and you were struggling, presumably at that time? Did you have support then?
Yeah, I've had support. I mean, again, I've always had, you know, the family supporting me, and I guess to a certain extent the GPs. But you know, for many years I spent time dumbing it down because I didn't want to be classed as mentally ill. You know, I mean.
Yeah, there is, and it goes back to what we were saying about the stigma.
Yeah.
You know, because do you feel that the stigma in the UK, if you put that, say, on your work, you know, if your work found out that you had a mental illness, do you think that would go against you?
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. I joke now that, you know, if I tried to get a job now, no one's ever going to employ me because my blog's out there. So you've only got to Google Jon Mansell and Exboozehound comes up, and if you read some of the stuff that I write, you're never going to employ me. And the other thing is as well now, because I've been, you know, I had the breakdown in 2013. The actual idea of being able to physically work, you know, 8 hours a day destroys your mind.
So tell us about your breakdown, Jon.
I was doing okay. I thought I was doing all right. I got a decent job. I was an account manager for a company. I was driving around the country talking to various car dealers.
So you're working full time?
Working full time, yeah.
9 till 5.
Long hours. You know, company car driving around. And it was almost to a certain extent I'd got to where I wanted to be, but I was also finding driving down the motorway that I'd be thinking, if I just stuck this in the barrier now, it would be all over, and also there'd be less stigma involved because it was an accident rather than suicide. So I'd drive, you know, say Cambridge for example, miserable, thinking about killing myself. Get out of the car, life and soul, go in, do the sales pitch, you know, have a chat with everybody, come out and be miserable all the way back as well.
Now, we've spoken about mental health on Cuppa TV before. We have our mental health expert, John Rushton, and that's one of the things you can put almost like a front.
Absolutely.
You put a face on, and then the face goes on when it's needed, and then it comes off when you know the overwhelming feeling of depression takes over.
Absolutely.
Is there anything you can do to stop that, Jon?
To stop having to put the front on?
You know, is it harder to put the front on, or is it harder to take the front off?
I think you get used to it. It's something that you practice.
Just part of you.
Yeah. In the blog, and I talked about Jon and Jon. You know, there was me, and then there was me at work, where you had that different front on. And quite often when people, I was always quite open with the fact that I suffered with depression.
How did your work colleagues take that when you told them?
They're fine. You know, it's always been fine. And it was, well, how are you depressed? And you know, again, come from a sales background as well. It's like, how are you depressed? And I don't think people really took it as it came. Back those days, it was more just about depression, though, really, and just depression. I shouldn't really say that, but it was about depression. And then with my latest job, getting towards the end of that, the company were, you know, really quite supportive and helpful, but eventually, you know, I'm signed off mentally ill, or signed off with clinical depression now. They couldn't keep me on forever, so you know, eventually you end up losing your job.
So when you came to that point where you had the breakdown, where were you?
I was living at home, working, got a girlfriend, 2 cats, and realistically, I think it came to the point where I just sort of was driving along the one day thinking, I've got everything that I've got a good job, I enjoy what I do and all those sort of things, but you know what, I'm still completely and utterly miserable.
And were you on antidepressants at that time?
Yeah, I was on antidepressants, something called Seroxat. I'd been on those for about 8 or 10 years. For quite a while, my girlfriend at the time, we kept saying, go back to the doctors, get these antidepressants changed. I didn't want to do that because I know how painful it is to come off one set of antidepressants and go on to another.
Right.
But eventually, it was just came to this one morning when...
Did anything happen? Or was
nothing
it just
in
an
particular.
ordinary morning, a typical day?
I just knew that morning, that was it. I just knew there was no getting better this time. This was it. I was you know, a complete and utter mess, really. And then and it got worse because I had to go through coming off the Seroxat and then going on to the sertraline, and that was, you know, that was horrible. You know, the doctors talk about, you know, it'll take 2 or 3 weeks for them to start to take effect, which I think is utter rubbish. You know, you're talking 3 or 4 weeks at least, and then the effects go up and down as well.
So it has a massive impact on your body,
massive
just the
impact on your body.
medication as well.
Absolutely.
And then once you've gone through that dreadful time, how did you get through? How did you get through it, John?
I think I'm stubborn. I think that's one of the things really with the alcohol as well. I think the only reason I'm sober is because I'm stubborn. People didn't believe I'd be able to do it, and I did. So I'm stubborn. I don't know how I got through it. If I'm honest, you know, family and friends around me, the fact that I think, you know, partly as well because I started the blog, I was able to get my words out there and then have people think, well, that's exactly how I think, or, you know, and it's, I'm not alone anymore. I had a guy yesterday who said on Twitter that I asked him whether he'd check my blog out, and he says, yeah, I have done. It makes me feel part of something. And I sort of decided that that's something that I wanted to do.
So you want to help
others,
others,
I wanted
really?
to help others, and through helping others, I help myself. I also I made lots of noise, jumping up and down about I was getting no help from the NHS and putting on this waiting list, putting on that waiting list. Made an official complaint, which I still believe to this day means I've got more cover. I've got a mental health worker I see every couple of weeks. I'm seeing my new one later on today, and I see my psychiatrist every 3 months, where I know there's guys out there that only see a psychiatrist every 3 months.
I was going to ask you that. Do you think there's enough support, local authorities give enough support to mental health issues?
No. I've got to be honest, the people I meet within the mental health system, they are brilliant. And when I've had conversations with them, you know, to a certain extent, you know, when I made the complaint, there was 2 people within the mental health system that I'd seen that basically said, please do make the complaint, because they know the system's broken. But the people you meet, the people you work with, they are fantastic. But there's just, like everything these days, there's not enough money, there's not enough time, there's not enough support. For example, I've been put forward for some psychology. And when you get these letters for psychology, you have to reply to them to say, yes, I want the appointment. I went into our local centre, gave them the letter back and said, yes, I'd like that. And then 2 weeks later, I got a letter to say I'd been discharged because I hadn't replied. Right. So what you've got there is a tiny admin error, which sends, when you're mentally ill, can destroy you. And I know a guy who I think doesn't see his psychiatrist because he was suggested he had to go and see somebody else in Dudley down the road, where he's very nervous to get things, and because he hasn't gone to that, I believe he's then been discharged. So you've now got somebody who is quite ill who doesn't see a psychiatrist at all.
And that can be just as dangerous as going through the illness itself, can't it? Because everybody needs support. Yeah. And your blog, John, it's called Exboozehound. And again, people contact you from all over the UK?
Yeah, all over the UK, all over the world.
Fantastic.
Got a guy I speak quite regularly to at the moment in America. Got some people over in Australia who proposed on my website.
How lovely.
I was talking to them both.
I was going to say, is it mostly men that contact you? Or
no, it's both
just
really.
Both
Really.
And what do you think that's about your blog? Because there's loads of bloggers, of course, now that do all sorts of subjects, but particularly on mental health. What is it about your blog that people come to you?
To be honest, in actual fact, one of your guys from here who first got in touch with me, he summed it up. He just said, you know, there's lots of blogs out there, but they're all very not stale, but very prim and proper, and, you know, with the proper statistics and all this sort of stuff. It's not about the statistics, it's about language, I think, and mine, I'm just completely honest and open with it, and sometimes probably too honest, you know, a bit of effing and jeffing and all that sort of stuff. I've had guest people posting as well, you know, to get their point across. I just think it's honest and open and uses language that you understand.
And how do you see your future, John?
Who knows? I mean, you know, realistically, you know, it was only it's probably Friday last week, I felt that I didn't know whether I was going to be able to. I just had these feelings that I wasn't going to be able to win this battle. It was too hard, too difficult. It was going on too long. Yes, you get the good moments, but the bad moments are even worse. But then, I got contacted about coming on here. I did something else like the other week about Exboozehound and depression and things like that with Dee Kelly.
And those sort of things really
I think
give you an incentive to raise awareness to other people.
I want to raise awareness. I want to cause a little bit of mischief. I'm going to a Dudley Borough meeting later on this week, and I'm going to clinical commissioning group meeting I think next week.
So you've got lots going on.
And what I tend to do is, I will not listen and just sit there and do nothing. I always speak up, even if it means getting into a bit of an argument. Well,
it's been great to talk to you, John. Thank you so much for coming on Cuppa TV. Thank you. Welcome back to Cuppa TV. I'm now joined by Carol and Evan Grant from the Cameron Grant Memorial Trust, supporting mental health with young people. Thank you so much for coming, Carol, and Evan. Thank you for joining us. Carol, you've already been on Cuppa TV, of course, so it's lovely to see you back here.
You.
And the reason we've got you back here is because we were talking about mental health. We've just had John on earlier on in the show, and it's now more than ever in the press, particularly with men, particularly in young men. And it was lovely for you to come on and talk about how your trust is going, what's actually happening. So Evan, I'm going to start with you because we haven't spoken before. So first of all, just tell us a little bit about Cameron, because for those who missed the show initially.
So Cameron was our son who died when he was 21, just 10 months ago today, and he was a lovely young kid. He appeared to be thriving. He was in his last year at university. He was an active participant in ultimate frisbee. He was a treasurer of the frisbee club. He loved the geology he was studying, and Carol and I had taken great delight in how he'd thrived at university, and we were completely surprised and stunned to hear that he'd taken his own life.
And how old was he when he took his life?
21. He'd just a month after his 21st birthday.
And there were no words to describe how you must have felt as parents, Carol.
Yeah.
And what made you decide to think about, right, we've got to give something back to make Cameron's death not such a thing that was just going to be forgotten? Is that why you decided to do the trust?
We didn't want to forget Cameron, and we wanted his name to live on. But also, the main thing I think was we didn't want any other parents going through what we've gone through as a family.
Would you agree with that, Evan?
Yeah, definitely. Cameron left us a letter, and he described the fact that he'd suffered with mental health problems for 7 years before he died, and we just didn't know, and we hope to raise awareness so that nobody else has to suffer in silence like Cameron does. We don't know why he didn't ask for help, but obviously we wish he had.
I was going to ask you that question. Do you have any reason or feelings as to why he kept it all to himself?
I think he's always been a very proud boy, quite quiet. So I think he just didn't want to burden anyone. And we've learnt since that it's quite well known that boys just don't talk about their problems.
Well, statistics have shown, that it's increasing with young men, but men in general, because they don't talk. How did you feel as a father, Evan, when you discovered that Cameron had taken his life?
I felt then, and I feel now, it's like blank amazement that he did it, but above all that we didn't know, because apart from not knowing, it's just there was no sign at all. He seemed to be doing so well. He seemed happy. As we've just talked about, we'd recently celebrated his 21st birthday. We'd been with him to St James's Palace when he got his DAB Gold Award, and he really did love the subject he was studying, and he wanted to do a master's, and it was we were completely blindsided, and it still remains blank astonishment. I mean, some people have asked if about any sense of guilt, and there isn't really. It's just because there was the absence of there was no clue.
Yeah, I keep looking back, and there was just nothing.
Yes, trying to sort of piece through things.
Just
perhaps
thinking
did he
maybe
say something, or
maybe I'd missed something, but I can't think of anything. And I've been asking his friends, and no one. He was out partying and still doing his ultimate frisbee training the week he died, and still going to lectures.
So it's just tragically sad, and just a waste and a loss.
Did you feel angry? Did you have any experience of anger
No,
yourselves as parents?
lots of people have asked that, but I personally haven't. I just feel incredibly sad. But I'm not angry, no.
And when people ask you, you know, how do you feel? How are you feeling today? How do you react to that?
React to it with difficulty, and in the end just conventionally answer and say yes, I'm fine and so forth. But I'm not fine, and it's really difficult. But you know, it's, if you actually answer the question and sort of get into deep and sad feelings, it doesn't really help day-to-day life and getting on at work and socially. So you tend to just say fine and go on, and I know Carol does, and I talk privately to friends, but it's tough being asked how are you, because the inner answer isn't the one that you want to give.
It's a question that everybody asks, isn't it? But it's really, it shouldn't be a question that everyone asks, but we're all guilty of that, I think.
I have found a way through it, which is I answer how I feel today. And so people ask, how are you today? Somehow it's an acknowledgement that there are ups and downs, and it's not...
because you do have incredible ups and downs.
Yes. And for you, Carol, if someone was to ask you the same question, how would you respond to that?
Well, I just say I'm fine, but but I'm not really, because it just doesn't go away, and it never will.
And when you were, when you first discovered that Cameron took his life, when you got through the traumatic events after that, and you decided, you wanted to set up this memorial trust. Was that the thing really that gave you the, if you like, the will to make sure that he didn't die in vain, and there's something there for other people to look at, to find and to come to you for help and advice?
I think yes. I mean, it definitely kept us going, and it gave us a purpose to work towards. But I mean, sometimes it has been a bit overwhelming, hasn't it? I mean, all the support we've got.
It's always in your face, of course, as well as helping people. For you, it must be quite difficult.
And it's quite emotional talking about it, because we were talking about it from just weeks after he died, so we did it incredibly early.
And has it made you closer as a family? Because you have another son who's now at university. Has it made you closer as a family?
We have struggled, I think, but I think we've always been a close family, so yes, I think so.
And we take strength from the fact that our younger son Alistair is now at university in Sweden. He just started an undergraduate physics degree there.
Wonderful.
We went out with him on the 18th of August, and he's just starting his third week of lectures now.
Wonderful.
So I think it's great to see him moving on to that next stage in his life, and he's meeting people from all over the world, and from what we can learn on WhatsApp, he's having a pretty good time.
Thank goodness for social media for parents. And I mean, because it affects the whole family, though, doesn't it? It affects all of the family unit, and the closer you are, and you're obviously a close family, it would have affected you, even deeper than perhaps somebody who didn't see their family or their mother and father quite so much. So tell us about the Memorial Trust then, and what's actually happening with it. Over to you, Evan.
Thank you, Monica. Yeah. So our ambition is to raise awareness about mental health issues, particularly in young people, and to encourage those that are suffering in silence to speak up, unlike Cameron, who kept it all to himself. We essentially have a launch event on the 2nd of October, where we have a night walk that starts and finishes in Hampton and Arden, the village where we live. Yes. And it's going to be just under 5 miles on footpaths mainly, round to the next village, Barston. And we've chosen a night walk because there's symbolism in it being a walk in the dark, and it's also because Cameron loved it. He took part actively in Cubs and Scouts and in an adventure group, and we know he loved his night walks. So that is our initial activity, and with that we're launching a community project in our village, and this comes with the support of the Aviva Community Fund. We were lucky enough to win a grant from them in the summer, and we're going to train community leaders in mental health first aid and in suicide awareness. and together with that community set up as many ways as we can find of communicating with the young community in the village, so that there are safe, secure, private ways for people to find out information and ask for help.
Because I mean, you know, with the information, you were just talking about that, is there enough information out there, Carol, do you think?
No, I don't think there is, no. What we're hoping to do is print little credit cards with helpline numbers on, and also we're thinking about beer mats in pubs and sports clubs.
Yes.
You know, so if anyone is feeling down, they know
that
who
there's
to
help
ring.
out there.
Yes.
Yes.
Because the NHS are so swamped by, you know, youngsters asking for help, but in some cases perhaps they don't need to go to the NHS. But
They just want somebody who perhaps understands the situation and can listen.
Yeah.
And would that be your aim, Evan, perhaps for the future, for the Trust, to have, you know, workers who people could call or blog, or, you know, to contact you for help and advice?
Well, I think our immediate aim, Monica, is that this project we're doing in our village is something we learn from that project, so it can work in other communities.
Grow,
And
yes.
we'd like to take that project and run it in multiple communities. And we start at home because it's where Cameron grew up. But our ambition is to make this as widely available as possible. And we expect to use other people to do the training. And so, for example, our suicide awareness training will be done by Papyrus UK, and Papyrus's goal is to reduce young suicide, and they've been very helpful to us in many ways since Cameron died, and they'll do the suicide awareness training for us. And they have a helpline particularly geared at young people. So I think our awareness activities will be making people aware of things like Papyrus and Samaritans and Mind, rather than setting up our own direct help. And who knows where it may go, but we would like to just make sure, we didn't know about Papyrus before.
No.
So one of the things we'd like
So
to
it's
make...
a learning
just,
curve, isn't
just
it, really?
to give the kids, you know, just more numbers or more help.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're not experts, so I wouldn't like to set something up, you know, that's too...
But
I think we need to spread it out
so, and
to
that
the
is really
experts,
important, isn't it, for people who might be going through the same, you know, problem.
Yeah.
And why do you think it affects men? Have you got any issues on, you know, thoughts on that yourself? Do you think some young men, we've just had recent reports about young men and why it's affecting young men. Have you got any thoughts on that as a parent?
I think it's just because boys don't talk. If girls will talk to each other and express themselves more. I think boys, it's not a macho thing to say you're not feeling well, or so they just tend to keep it to themselves, and I think it just gets worse and worse.
What would you say on that, Evan?
I agree with Carol.
So we're just going to take a quick break now, but stay with us and come back and see us in just a minute. Welcome back to Cuppa TV. Now we welcome an indie pop duo that are rocking the music scene with their melodic tunes. It's James and Antonio from Off Colour. Guys, thank you for coming on Cuppa TV.
Thanks for having
Lovely
us.
to see you. So it's James and Antonio. Antonio, that's got to be a little bit of Italian in there.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll talk about that
So
a bit later.
some people say Spanish, don't they? They assume
Yeah,
Spanish.
I get
Oh,
all
do you?
sorts, yeah.
Oh no, I guessed it was Italian. So, guys, Off Colour, you know, you're an amazing band. You've just been working with so many really good people. You've just released your single, but where did it all start for you?
School, really, wasn't it? Yeah, we went to school together.
Yeah.
And well, we didn't actually like each other.
That's the funny story. Yeah, we didn't actually.
That's a very
like each
honest
other.
thing to say.
No, I hated him.
Did you?
I'm just going to put it out
Let's
there.
let's
We're at
just
two
go for
different
it.
ends of the
This is your therapy session here on
Mm.
Cuppa TV,
Yeah.
so for this morning.
Yeah.
I feel like I should be lying down. Just sort of.
Right, so you didn't like each other.
No, we were sort of, like you said, we were two sort of separate ends of the you know, the generic school cliquey sort of spectrum, as it were. I was sort of into my classic rock, had like shoulder length hair.
Yes.
And he was into his like straight up gangster rap.
So with all the cool kids.
So sort of, it was quite strange really. Like, I was introduced to one of his friends through his friendship group, and then we went to a party together, and then we stayed at my house, like all of the boys, and then I had a guitar. He was like, "Oh, do you play?" kind of thing, and picked up the guitar, played a song, and then he started singing, and then the rest is history. Sort of couldn't get rid of him.
Yeah.
And then how many years ago was that?
That's about 5
years
years
ago.
ago. Yeah, probably nearer 6 actually now.
And what did you think? Did you think initially, oh, actually, I could really, you know, this could be really good with this guy?
We did a cover pretty early, didn't we? Did a
Yeah.
cover on YouTube.
Did you?
It's really weird, yeah, how everything happened. Because I
Yeah.
just saw the guitar and I wasn't interested in singing as such. I just liked singing. And I saw the guitar and I was like, already in my head, I was like, do you know how to play Usher? Oh my God, do you remember the song?
Yes.
Yeah. And he was like, no, not really. And I was like, can you learn it? And he was like, yeah. And he literally just learned it straight away. And I was thinking, wow, he's well good. And I thought, maybe we could do a video.
Yeah.
But it was more me do the video
Yes.
with him, sort of. Because if you check the videos from when we first started, James just plays the guitar, so he doesn't actually sing. And then, like, the relationship
Yeah.
sort of developed
And it's come
naturally,
from
and he
there.
just sort of, and now we
Started
both.
And now
Yeah.
you both sing.
Yeah.
Now we both
Yes,
sing. Yeah, that's
fantastic. So, I mean, how? First of all, Off Colour. Where did you get your band name from?
Oh, it's an awful. It's
Is it a
one
story?
of these. No, well, it's
not
it-
even.
It's so much not a story that
Oh.
it's become a story.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
that
Come on,
we
then.
basically for way too long we were Antonio Amoroso and James Smith. That was the band
Right.
name. It was just our
Okay.
names, and we couldn't think of any way to
The longest.
try and be smart to make it into one. So we just thought, you know, we've just got to come up with a name. And one day he just sort of texted me and said, look, you need to make up a name.
I actually rang you because my mum had
oh, that was it. Yeah,
out.
Yeah.
I just got back from school and I was locked out of my house. So I was waiting for my mum, and I was just thinking, as you do, and I was thinking, I'm not happy with Antonio Amoroso and Jay. And everyone keeps saying, like, what's your name? Like, you can't just. So I rang him up and I said, well, I think we need to sort this out now. While I had some time
Oh, you had some
on the
time.
drive sitting there.
So, and that was it. So
Yeah.
you
That was it.
literally
I
came up.
literally just 2 words that
So
came
it's
to my head.
Off Colour.
Off
Because
colour.
I was
That's
saying
a
to him,
great
if you
name.
listen, like Coldplay and all these
Yes,
other,
yeah.
you know, like they don't actually make sense. Like,
Yeah.
as long as you just keep plugging the name.
I was going to ask you that because I was thinking exactly the same when I heard your name. You know, it's two. It's just
Yeah,
two
it's just
words that
two-
just
two
can come
words.
together.
I mean, I'd love there to be a real good story.
Oh, it'd be
behind it.
amazing.
That's okay.
I might have to, you might have to help us
At
make
least
one
you're
up.
honest.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe you can make one up after the show. That's
Maybe,
it.
yeah, maybe.
So you started then. What happened? Did you start in earnest then? Actually, you know, getting
Yeah,
together.
well,
How did it work?
We, like I say, we just did one, the first cover, and posted it on YouTube. Sort of just thought we'd just do it for a bit of a laugh, kind of thing. And we got a sort of, I think it was over 1,000 views in sort of 24 hours, which at that time was quite good.
Yes.
Like for like 2 guys
Yes.
in their bedroom on
It's
their
funny,
sister's
yeah,
laptop.
because we put it online, and then it was all of our school like classmates, and they were like, "When could you two sing? When could you play the guitar?" When?
Yeah.
And
So,
it was just
because
like
we didn't do
almost-
music or anything at school.
Everyone
we
was
weren't-
just
Really?
amazed. It was like, "Oh my god,
so it's
this
quite a
is."
shock. They were
Yeah,
really
so
new.
everyone was just sharing it, and then it was just really funny within that, like sort of 5 or 6 hours that you're at home. You woke up, went to school,
Yeah.
and everyone was just like, "Oh, that was amazing. That was so good. When's the next one? You doing another one?" And it was just like people that you wouldn't have, like, you know, you can't speak to everyone in your years,
No.
sort of thing. And there's people coming up to you saying like that you'd never really spoken to before, and they're like, "Oh, I really loved that." And it was just,
Fantastic. And what was the first one? Can you remember what the first
yeah,
one
Yeah, it
was?
was
the Usher,
Oh
oh my
My-
god.
Yeah,
Oh
that
my
was
god.
Which is still on YouTube now. We look
Nice.
awful, and it's on a little
cute.
laptop. It's my sister's laptop that had a webcam. And
But
it's,
it doesn't
you know,
matter. It was your first project. So
And then we just sort of started doing sort of weekly, then bi-weekly, then monthly, and eventually it just got to a point where we were sort of doing them regularly, and we had like a bit of a following, people on Twitter. Was like, oh, when's the
because
next
you
one?
have,
So
you've got a following now. and
yeah.
fans. How did you create your fan base?
it was
just-
just, I think it was just from doing the covers. We started
Yeah.
sort of, there used to be a thing that, I don't know, I think they still exist, but people don't really do it anymore, called TwitCam. And it's basically where you go on Twitter and it's like a separate website, and what you do is you just broadcast live. It's almost like being on
yeah,
telly.
it's like
but
streaming.
you like
just-
stream
Yeah.
it live, and then people go on, and when they write comments, it does it as a tweet,
Oh right.
and then so
yeah.
people are, and it posts the link as well. So people are constantly posting the link without necessarily meaning to or
Right.
knowing they're doing it. So then people are just clicking on it, and then you can see how many people are watching. So, and we should just sort of go on there and just say like, we'll just play songs like what do you want us to play, and we'll just play anything.
So it was covers initially, wasn't
covers,
it?
yeah. We just
What was your
basically-
favourite cover? Have you done a favourite?
I think
Would
probably
it have been Usher, the first one you did?
definitely not.
No.
No, no.
I think one of my favourite ones, we did a mashup of a Ben Howard song called Everything
Oh yeah, I love that
with a Frank Ocean song called Swim Good, and we sort of blended them together, and I really, personally, that's probably one of my
That's one of
favourites.
your favourite.
I think the most popular one is we did a mashup of You Need Me by Ed Sheeran and Black and Yellow by Wiz Khalifa, which sort of
It's
worked
got
quite
like,
well.
oh yeah,
That
over
worked,
50,000 views. Yeah,
Yeah, so
Wow.
that's
they're all still online, which
Yes.
is quite cool because you can
Yes.
just sort of see the
You're
progression.
almost tracking your progress,
Yeah.
aren't you, when you post
Yeah,
things on
yeah.
YouTube? It's, and for you as well as band, you know, you can track what you're doing.
Mm.
So when did the singing, you know, the songwriting come about, you know, as well as the singing?
well,
when
I
did
think
you start?
I think it was probably towards the back end of our school years, where we sort of think we made the conscious decision that we were going to try and pursue a career in music while you're still young and you've got opportunities at your feet. So we thought we might as well give it a go. And at that point, it was sort of a case of you need to start doing our own stuff, because people are sort of asking questions,
Plus
and
we
as
didn't
much
want to
as
come under that sort of
you
cover.
tribute
Yes.
sort of.
typecast yourself as a cover band.
So do you both write? Write?
We do, yeah. We've also got a team of sort of writers and producers who are based in London that we sometimes get together with if we really want to try
Have a
and do
big
something
old
special.
jam
But
session, and
we're always sort of, meeting up and just trying. It normally comes from the guitar. That's where it normally starts. I just normally start playing stuff and then we start singing. But
So you've got your new single, Touchdown, which
Yeah.
you're going to play for us today.
Mhm.
So tell us a little bit about that before you play it. How did that come about?
that was quite a funny one. We were working with Mikey and Mo, who are part of SOS. That's their sort of name, and they produced Wretch 3-2's 6 Words as well. As you can hear, there's a sort of similar sound there. We were in the studio with them, and they're great guys. Like they're so just amazing to be around. Like they've got this aura sort of thing. And we were in there for a few hours, and we were trying out different sort of sounds and and we were getting halfway through a song, and then we were just thinking, I don't know about it. And then nobody, there wasn't that one sound that we were thinking, yeah, this sounds good, until eventually, after about 5 or 6 takes, we come up with Touchdown, and it started again not with a guitar, and then there was this drum and bass element, and then everyone started going, yeah, I think we found it. So then I think that was a really late session. I think it started in the morning, and we didn't get out till...
I lost my car keys as well.
Yeah, it's just... we were in there so long that he managed to lose his car keys sort of thing.
I had to leave my car in London for like a week.
Oh no.
It's a nightmare.
One of those. But a good song came out of it,
Good
though.
song came out of it as well.
So are you going to play us that today? You're going to sing that today?
Yeah,
Yeah, we've got a stripped back acoustic version.
Fantastic. Well, let's have a listen then. So this is Touchdown by Off Colour.
Yeah.
Okay?
Bless you.
Bless you.
Okay, still rolling then.
Okay.
Let me put some bars on the screen and we'll come back on your camera.
Okay, Dunham.
Okay, start the clock again when she starts talking.
Okay, so do you want to do those? Do you want to do it now, or do you want to do them after?
No, we do the...
Oh, do you,
the
after,
bit.
fine. Okay, Dunham.
So whenever you're ready.
Okay. So I've got to pretend I've heard it now.
Yes.
Pretend
That's
you
so
look good.
amazing.
Look a bit flustered.
Yeah, you've got to look like you've just moved. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, that's it. Yeah, actually, that's true, because you would have. How would you position yourself if you were playing the
I would
guitar?
have been probably.
Okay.
Sorry, we don't see that. That's the point.
No, but just for effect, really.
Just for
When
the.
we
You know,
come
just
back
for when we come, because when we
and
come
then
back,
relax back in.
and relax back into it. See, we've got the same. It's got the same thinking
we're there.
going on here. Right, that's it. You've moved position. Okay.
Okay, still recording.
That was great, guys. That was such a melodic tune. That's
Thank you.
it's such a powerful tune, and so simple as well. Did you, when you wrote that, were you aware of just the simplicity of it, really, just with the lyrics?
Yeah, I think it's like a 50-50 when you're writing songs. You have to sort of try and make it come from a place inside you, but you've also got to make it catchy, and you've got to try and keep it simple.
Appeal to...
And try and
And it
appeal
is
to
very
people.
catchy, isn't
Well, that's
it?
what
So
we tried to do.
you wanted to
but
do that, yeah.
There's no well. I
No.
guess if you say it
It
is.
is.
That song again.
We've heard it so
going
many
back to
times.
Yes.
that it's-
Yeah, that's the thing. When you're singer-songwriters, you listen to, and of course you're young. You're just really starting out on your journey. So when you're playing your songs over and over again, do you just almost lose the song, so to speak? Do you forget what it is?
I think you do and you don't. I think there's.
Yeah, I think you lose it and then you get it back, and
You
then
find
there's
it,
certain
yeah.
things that happen, like somebody might, like for example yourself, you say like it's just amazing, and then you think when you play it again, you think it is,
that's quite good,
I
yeah.
see what you mean.
Yeah,
sort of
that's
thing.
I think it's almost an ability you sort of have to have as a writer to be able to hear yourself, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? You have to be able to hear it from someone else's ears and sort of try and put yourself in their feet.
I think that's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
And when you're writing, do you always write together? I mean, I know you've got your team, but do you come up with an idea and then you go to Antonia, or
it's weird.
how does it work?
I'll probably come up with a little melody, and then he'll come up with one, and then I normally put the first few words in, and then we come up with the concept, and then it's sort of.
He's more of like the wordsmith, and I'm more of the sort of wacky guy in the background saying, maybe we should.
He just has
how
these
about
concepts
this?
that just come out of
This
nowhere.
makes sense, and then he's going, yeah, but I didn't mean that. I was like, yeah, but it could mean that, and he's going, yeah. I'm like, so what's a good word for this and a good word?
And do you like to make your sound unique, Antonio? With that bearing in mind, you like to get that sort of wacky.
Yeah, I think
effort
we
to
like to use our influences a lot, and make that come out into our music, because we've got such a wide range of influences.
I was going to say, who are your influences?
Well, I mean, it's one of these. It's another one of these
Yeah.
questions where there's so many possible answers. I mean, my family have always been really big on music. Not musicians or anything,
No.
but growing up, there's always music
There's
playing
always
in the
music
house.
in the house,
You
yes.
know, all sorts of stuff. Stevie Wonder, Prince, Red Hot Chili Peppers, one of my mum's favourite bands,
Yeah.
which I grew up listening to as well.
Yeah.
So there's so many different sort of things that I
Yeah.
draw inspiration from without even meaning to. I think it's probably the same with you as
How
well.
about
Yeah.
you, Antonio? What?
Yeah, just like James says, because my dad's a DJ as well, so I've always been in the sort of, but I'd say like he's got the more sort of rock, guitar, folk sort of acoustic vibes, sort of like that he's influenced in, and then I've got the more sort of urban / pop, like, and he'll show me songs sometimes, and he'll be like, to be honest, I didn't really know about John Mayer, and I know people will be like, oh my God, how do you not know about? But then he introduced me, and I was like, oh my God.
But that's what it's all about, though. When you're a duo, you introduce each other to, to different. Both got different individual personalities. So why wouldn't you have different sort of genres of music that you both like, really?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how do you see your future, James? What's going to happen with Off Colour?
Oh, that's the big question. I mean, I think we both hope. The ultimate dream would obviously to be, a worldwide musician, as it were. But I mean, personally, I'd love to just be able to make money from it, like real money, and be able to just make a living from it. Like that's what I'd like to do, because I've always been one of these sort of people who would rather do what they love, and be not as rich as someone who does what they hate.
Yeah.
And do you know what I mean? One of
Yes. Yeah. No. And for you, Antonio, it's the same.
Yeah, it's just basically the sort of same thing. I just think I'd like our music as well to be like what it does, with Touchdown when it's come out, for people to really appreciate, because I think as well people don't realise how much work actually goes into it. Like they think that it's just, and to when you see people really appreciate, the body of work that you've put out, and you think like it makes everything all worth it, because you do so many hours and you think about so much, and then when people you just put it out and they're like, that sounds amazing, you're like, oh, thank God.
Well, to play us out the show, you're going to do another song. So what's the other song you're going to play today?
Which
I think we're gonna treat you guys with a exclusive cover.
Oh, yes,
cover,
that's fine. Yes.
It's of Drake's latest release, Hotline Bling,
Okay.
and we've put our own spin on it. So if you know the original,
Excellent.
it's very, very
Well,
different.
guys, it's been so lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for coming on to Cuppa
Thank
you.
TV,
Thank
you very much.
and let me know how you're getting on. Thank
Will
you.
do.
Thank you.
So that's it for today's show. I'd like to thank all my guests, John, Carol and Evan, and of course the band Off Colour, for joining me today. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, you can join us on Facebook or Twitter at Big Centre TV. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and come back and see me very soon. Bye-bye.
Floating slowly, you're not gonna make it, can't breathe, helpless without me, you're not gonna make it, you're floating so high, no one's gonna save you, you're floating so high, let me come and save you.
I'm here to pull you down, and when you touch the ground, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. Ooh, love you till you love you. Ooh, love you till you love you. Ooh, love you till you love you. Ooh, I'ma love you till you love you.
Feelings fading, I won't let you give in to it. You've come so far for you to turn back. I'm holding on so tight, no one's gonna do you right. I'm holding on tight, I don't wanna see you fly.
I'm here to pull you down. When you touch the ground, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. Ooh, love you till you love you. Ooh, love you till you love you. Ooh, love you till you love you. Ooh, I'ma love you till you love you.
I know when that whole line blinks, that can only mean one thing.
Cause ever since I left the city, you got a reputation for yourself now. Everyone else knows and I feel left out. Girl, you got me down, you got me stressed out. Cause ever since I left the city, you started wearing less and going out more. Glasses of champagne out on the dance floor, hanging with some girls I never seen before.
You used to call me on my cell phone, late night when you need my love. Call me on my cell phone, late night when you need my love. I know when that whole line blinks, that can only mean one thing. I know when that whole line blinks, that can only mean one thing.